So we're gonna get this going. I'm gonna let all our brothers come in. Thank you for Black Coffee Conversation. I know how Black people have their own Black people time. So, but we like to start on time. 2 o'clock does mean 2 o'clock to some people, especially you educators, right, Woodsy?
Oh yeah, it's 1 o'clock my time. I had to run because I was getting my youngest daughter. She's getting her hair braided finally. I mean, she had the fro and it's like out to here, so it's time to tame that.
Is it? So who's doing it?
I got a friend. Her daughter plays with my oldest daughter. Plays basketball with my oldest daughter, and she just does it. She wants to do it.
Before and as people come in, I want to say thank you, all you brothers. I know Black Coffee Conversation has been very dear to me because I miss talking with men, about issues and the things that we do. As you know, this has been recorded, it's being podcast out there and all that stuff. But as we get going, as Russ comes on, because like we teased him off air, he's all confused since he got a girlfriend. He don't know what to do. He don't know where a camera is anymore. He don't know how to call anybody anymore. I'm going to say all my bullshit before he gets on his audio work. Here he goes.
This is crazy, guys. My apologies. Oh, God. I know it's been a while. Please.
So, Russ, introduce yourself to Dr. Robert Pritchett. We asked him to come on. He's out of Boston, Massachusetts. I'm actually, as a Yankee fan, I'm actually okay with him, and I'm not even going to go there with that. But introduce yourself, Russ, to him.
Hey, Doc, my name is Russ Williams. I'm a transition coach. I'm an author, speaker, host of the show Transition Tuesdays, seen every Tuesday on Facebook Live. Okay. You know, that's about it, though.
Okay. Good to meet you. Good to meet you.
Good to meet you as well.
And you know, I told you guys that I was from Boston. I say Boston, but I actually live in Quincy, and I'm originated from Delaware, Wilmington, Delaware.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, as you guys see this picture behind me, 9/11, we have to mention it. It's here. It's in our face. 20 years. Of course, this whole thing about not forgetting and all this stuff, but I think there's a little bit more, because this should never help us push us to another level of what we didn't do, because there's a lot of stuff I think we still haven't done. And I still think there needs to be room to do, because right now, the way I feel about a lot of things since we've talked, since we've had a little sabbatical conversation, it's almost literally time for the revolution. And that's where Malik comes in, because I'm right behind him. And I'm like, yep, the brother said so, because it's time to turn it up. How do you guys are feeling about what's going on with your life and the lives around you?
Yeah, you know what? I feel like that's the narrative. I feel like that's where the forces in society are pushing us. You know, because
purposely.
After January 6th, we had a conversation. And I asked you guys, I said, listen, do you think this is the culmination of the end or just the beginning? And everybody said, no, I think it's the beginning. And I was listening to that, and I didn't want to believe it. I was like, yo, if you go that far, what's the end? And that's the thing that scares me. I have no idea what the end point is. And I just feel like forces, I don't know what the forces are, they're pushing us to this narrative, to the brink. Where's the brink?
Well, if you look at what they did to the courts, and we're not saying they, them, Republican, Democrat, what the last administration did to the courts, and how they knew, now that they have the courts, they have it. And you can see how they brought up the abortion issue. Now the executive branch can't do anything to stop it. So that's another one of those test things. I don't think they care more or less about abortion, but they know it's polarizing enough to see, if you can't stop this, wait till we bring the other stuff afterwards. And that's how I feel about that.
But you know what, though? I just want to interject this, right? It's deeper than that.
Yes.
Because now the way they have this set up is you have individual people that can sue other individual people if they think they've gotten or they've contributed to somebody getting an abortion.
Right.
So now you gotta have man against man. And if you're 21 years or older, it's okay to carry an open firearm in Texas.
It always has been.
But now you're 21 and over.
It always has been.
All right, they're pushing this law. So think about this. So now you got to start asking yourself, what are they preparing for? There's something that's happening. They know it. They're planning something, right? So you can be armed. You can actually go after individual people if they want to have an abortion. They already restricted your voting rights. What's the end game?
Hey, Chris Smooth, how you doing?
What's up, fam? How's everybody doing?
How you doing? You looking good. You've been traveling too, and you guys have all that money. I don't know how you do it. That disposable income. You see how you do it?
Funny, man. But I'm trying to enjoy myself.
Good. We were just talking about as you heard, Smooth, about what's how things are going in the world and how you feel about it.
Well, right now it's the time period where you really got to be vigilant, prayerful, and more importantly, you really have to take a good look at yourself and understand what your purpose is and what you need to do to take care of yourself to help others. Because right now, and I think I caught the tail end of what Malik was saying, there's so much going on that we really don't know, that are plans that are being made that like go beyond what we see and what we understand. And you just really have to be just careful and mindful of what's going on. So as of now, for me and my family and just what I can do is just try to be the best I can be. If I can assist to help others, do my best to assist and try to give some good information when I can.
I still think we get missed.
It happens.
It's been happening. I mean,
check it out, Doc. It will continue to happen. I think we still need to have to, go forward and fight for rights and fight for whatever we need. But it's just a process where the system just doesn't work for us. And as much as we do, as long as we continue to do it, there's going to be a need where we have to do more.
Yeah.
And it feels like oftentimes that we're not doing enough, but I think we still have to continue to battle. But the way it's set up, we'll never be in a position where I think we want to be. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, well, good, but you said never? Really?
No.
So, because we can't move, this is it. This is our land. We can start singing that. This land is our land. This land is yours. This is what we got. We ain't going nowhere.
And you don't want to. And we built this country. Oh, go ahead, Chris.
Well, you're definitely right. The way it's been set up, the system has been set up for us to be builders, workers. We can't ultimately be the ones who run things. They won't let that happen, meaning powers to be. They do not need or want us to be in a position where we can make really big decisions.
Well, how do we work in that framework? That doesn't, because there should be no ceiling, right? But there is a ceiling.
Oh, definitely. There's no question there's a ceiling. We run into it all the time.
I know we run into it, though, but I thought we built another one. I thought we keep, I thought it was more ladderish than more ceiling-ish. You know what I mean?
Again, I'm a positive energy guy. You all know.
Yeah.
I look at the positive side. Unfortunately, that ceiling definitely closes because at a certain point, someone's going to put the kibosh on it. Like, all right, you know what? We're going to allow Doc to get this far, but we can't allow Chris and Malik and Russ to come. Only one at a time, and that's enough. And it's been that way for the longest. And it will continue to be that way because there's too many people in power positions who won't allow us to be in a position where we can assist or make some good power decisions. Again, it's food for thought.
So listen, I got a question for Woods. Right, you're in politics, Woods. You are basically in a room where it happens. Right? What's your take?
My take is this. I'm just gonna start off with saying like at the beginning, you know what I mean? Like I am trying to do all these things and wear all these hats and juggle everything. And I'm tired. I hit that wall. I mean, if you looked at like what I've done this summer, it was like straight mental health. I just straight up said, screw it. I took like 5 trips. I spent way more money than I should have. I mean, I went straight selfish this summer with me and my family. Because here's the thing, like education is what's going to do it for us, period.
Yeah.
And I don't just mean school. I mean, being able to be analytical and being able to think about the information that you digest and where it comes from and what the purpose is like, it's like a hot commodity right now. Like, we don't have enough people right now. We have people who will come up to you and say, this is how it should be. It could be anything. It could be abortion. It could be mass.
It's so true. They do.
They have
like,
no
should be.
Clue. They have no clue. And they'll throw information at you without having any kind of basis at all and saying, like, this is how it is, or this is science, or this. Like, people will literally walk up to me and be like, this is how it should be because whatever. And they don't even know any of the information. They have not done research. They have not done anything. And as a society, we've come to accept that. We've come to accept that people can limit your progress because of something that they didn't even research and call it research. And that, I mean, and I see it all the time in the political sphere, not just in local, but in national government or whatever. So I get what Smooth is talking about. I mean, when you start looking at it, and it's like, okay, us as a people, right? When are we going to start educating ourselves? When are we going to start, like, literally sacrificing ourselves? Because, like, leadership is time. It's time. It's time for the leadership. If it doesn't happen now, I don't have faith. I really don't.
I was at
sacrifice. I don't have faith in our progress.
I was at that march on Washington on the 28th, this here in August, here in DC, right? It was a big push, big thing. And I was out there early and listening to the many speak, whether it been from the Al Sharpton side, whether it been just the many speakers, they all said the same thing. What really hurt me, it's like, wait a minute, this is 58 years of saying the same shit. Like, literally the same conversations we're having 58 years. It kind of, I don't know how that doesn't sit well with me. Like, I'm hearing the same thing. I'm talking to elders. I'm talking to people there. And this is nothing different than then. So, which goes back to what Smooth said. There's a ceiling. And did we really reach the ceiling?
Only because, in my opinion, we didn't look at the history. I mean, we've talked about this.
Yeah.
This game is not new.
Yeah, it's not new.
It's not new. And I sit there and I look at everything that goes on, and I can point to a place in time where it has happened. I can point to a time in the 60s. I can point to a time in the 30s. I can point to, but it's like we are not cognizant as a whole of how this game is played. And we're not cognizant, we're not educated enough to, like, stop it. And I know that's not a really nice thing to say.
But it's true.
But it's true. Like, we're not educated enough to stop it. We haven't put ourselves in positions to stop it.
How about athletically, right? We all played the game. Some people played basketball better than others. I'm looking at Russ and Smooth. But here's the thing. If we're playing the team, how many times we play this team per year, and we know that Smooth's the shooter, and we can't box him in, we might as well be the way you call the generals with the Harlem Globetrotters, because this is ridiculous.
And that's where we're at.
We become the generals.
You know what it is too, guys? It's strength in numbers. So, you know, like Woodsy, I can see your frustration because you might be the only person in the room. But I think if you have more people to join you in that effect, I think you get more things accomplished. You know, it comes with that with sports, strength in numbers, comes with strength in numbers of politics and everything. It's very difficult for that one person to be in that room. That one person, you feel like you got you're going against the world by yourself. But I think if you have more people that can galvanize and be a part of the movement, strength in numbers will break that glass ceiling.
Russ,
it has to be a number of people.
Russ, you know how many, hold on, Robert, you know how many Negroes are in the Baltimore government?
I don't, but are there a lot?
It's a ton, and you ought to see this flipped up city. So it's not the people in the room. It's got to be the right people in the room.
Right, they got to be competent people in those rooms. You know, we hope that'll make the difference. But again, the numbers, you got to have the numbers. But yeah, competency is an important key of it as well. I agree with you on that.
Yeah, but the thing that I think you just hit on. There are people in the room, but everybody sells out. In the past, so many people have sold out. They get a seat at the table, and they close the door on everybody else. You know, and in order for us to get ahead, you have to at least stick a little wedge, stick your shoe in the door so somebody else can creep in, or hold the door so somebody else can run in. And as a whole, we haven't done that because they know that the weakness is that we want to live like them, so to speak. And I say we, meaning speaking of the collective, but not me personally or us here.
Yeah.
Let me make sure I say that, when you're trying to live like them, then this is what you do. You get in and you don't think about anybody else. You don't care about anybody else. It's only about you. Everybody's trying to make money for themselves and they forget about everybody else. That's why Baltimore is so messed up. I mean, look at when Kwame was in Chicago, he was in there, he's stealing left and right instead of opening the door, getting more contracts and things for blacks. He was just stealing.
Yeah, he was just straight up stealing.
Yeah, just straight up stealing, just taking, And the first thing Trump makes me sick, but the one thing about it, he looks out for his people. As a whole, we haven't done that. I didn't agree with everything that Dr. Umar said, but Dr. Umar called out something that was very factual. He said that when you look at President Obama, he said he did everything for the gay, the LGBTQA community. He said, but what did he do for our community? Now, of course, some of that had to do with all of the filibuster because he did try to do some things, but he didn't do anything for us as a whole, as a collective. And he's right.
He is right.
So two things, right, that just come up. One, strategy. Right. If we know our history, right, then and we know history repeats itself, right, we should be a little more strategic as a collective, right? But the way the system is designed, it's designed with its distractions. So whether it's sports, entertainment, whatever it is, we're going to be distracted and not really focus on like the root causes, and it's designed that way, right? And the other thing is, you can't be the only person in the room. You really need you need somebody in the room who actually can work with policy, but you also need people on the ground to agitate, right? To really make sure that there's a need, right? So that person in the room is saying, yo, I represent this group, right? So people can respect his voice, because if you're in a room by yourself, they're not going to respect your voice. Who you representing? And can you be bought? I mean, listen, that's happened a lot in our community, right? And I don't want to just say our community, all over, right? You start off, you have these great ideas, and then you get in the room and you get corrupted by the money, the power, and the influence, right? And you forget why you actually really started this journey. And I mean, I don't know how it is in your area, Woodsy, but to stay in politics, you need money. Where are you getting that money from?
Yeah, and how are you getting? Yeah, where are you getting the money, and how are you getting the money?
How are you getting it, and what are you doing with it? Because you need money to stay in power, to advertise, to keep your name out there, right? And you need that power block.
And that's the thing that is so hard. So when you go into politics, when I went into politics, I basically said, like, these people are gonna know what the Black experience is, and they're gonna learn it through me, because it's homogenous. And so I took that on, knowing full and well that I'm going to do what I do. And if it's one term, it's one term. It is what it is. But if you're looking at it like this politics is what's going to feed my family or whatever, I mean, I understand the outright corruption, but there's also a side where, hey, I need to be in the politics. And in order to do that, I got to make some concessions. And some people aren't going to like what those concessions are. And a lot of people are going to call those concessions selling out. And I'm not debasing anything that you got to understand, because there is corruption up there. But I also look at it as, if I wanted to stay in politics, and kind of what Malik said, I'm going to need to make some concessions, number one. Number two, I'm going to have to be very strategic on what I do and don't vote on, because I don't have the base that experiences what I experience in this community and in this world. I don't have that base. So when I go in, I know that I'm sacrificing my political career. I don't know if I get back in, but the most important thing is I don't care if I get back in. I don't care if I get back in, because I need to know, I need to be able to sleep at night knowing that I put myself out there for my people, for my people, for other people's people. And when I say my people, I want white kids to go out there and say, yo, that's Dr. Woods. He was a politician and he was looking out for us too, you know? So it's kind of that, it's the game. You got people who are straight up corrupt, but you got those people who are making concessions. And
we have never, as a Black community or as a Black business, ever backed politicians. We don't have either enough money, or we just never did it. We spend all this money on Gucci bags and eyeliner and shoes, but we can't back a politician. Like we can't collectively just back a politician, because you know the white people, they're corporations. They'll get behind someone, and what now when they're in junior high and say, you're going to be a president, and this is your line, this is your boom, 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 this is what you will do. And so they build their politicians. We don't build ours.
Wow. Yeah, you know, I think you got to know the game, and you got to.
We have enough people that know the game. We know the game.
Yeah. So one, it's like, if you understand the game, right? Number two, do we have money? Are we gonna be able to sacrifice in our community where enough Black people could come together and develop a super PAC, right? And say, okay, this is our super PAC, this is our agenda. And right. We have like $1 million, like say $5 million that we're willing to invest into this candidate.
Correct.
And we're gonna start small. We won't start at the presidential level. Let's say we start local.
The school board.
Right? Yeah, but listen, they're politicizing everything. Even the school board right now is being politicized.
Absolutely. Right?
But are we willing to start that? Like
yes.
To really, donate money, start it on that level, and build a candidate, right? I mean, listen, everything is politicized right now. Vaccines are politicized. Wearing a mask are politicized. Like, this health crisis is politicized right now.
The Lieutenant Governor of Texas just said the reason why we had the variant and why it's increasing in the community is because of Black people. I mean, that's what did you hear when he said that?
Yeah.
He publicly said that. He's like, it's because of the Black people. And here's crazy. The Black people are so vehemently, outwardly spoken, the majority of Blacks are saying, I'm not going to get vaccinated because I don't trust it. But there's white people who are saying it too. But they're politicizing. Oh, it's the more Black people are so vocal about it, right? Because they're afraid, and because there's a lot of Blacks who said, I don't trust it, I'm afraid of it, I'll just stay away from it, I don't trust the science, and I'm not getting vaccinated. Well, you know, the heat is coming, whether you're going to be locked out of a lot of stuff if you don't get vaccinated. It's already been warned, it's been said. Wait till it starts getting mandated. Hey, Brother Grogan, I want everybody, can we see your face? Are you walking? What the hell are you doing? Good looking man.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Good to see y'all. Good afternoon, Dr. Paul. Good to see you. And I apologize for being late. I want to thank, Brother Pritchett, man. He just sent me a link as a reminder. I tell people all the time, man, unfortunately, my life is like running a Fortune 500 company with one employee. It's just me. So these reminders are very helpful.
Okay, let people know what you do, because the other brothers don't know, and then please.
Okay. Okay.
Oh,
Sure,
hold
sure,
on. And
sure.
he's not a small dude. He was a power lifter. So yeah, he's not one of those things. He's all swollen. So check him.
I was swole back in the day, still trying to pull it back together. But yeah, I am a long-time competitive bodybuilder, professional natural. Started when I was 13 years old and have competed all over the world. But I have moved on into federal law enforcement career, which I served 25 years at the Department of Justice with the U.S. Marshal Service, and I retired back in 2013. Since 2013, I've gotten involved with what you guys are talking about right now. I started because before 2013, I was like most of us. The problem is we're totally disconnected from the electoral processes by the time because we don't have any education about it in school. And as I chimed on, Dr. Paul, I think I heard you say something along the lines. We got to call people out. We do. We have to be realistic with where we are and meet our people where they are. And right now, it's an education piece. I've run for office 3 times here in my area, and I'm prepared to run for office again. In fact, Tuesday, we've got a unique situation in my area where the House of Delegates, District 23B, which is really up Marshal area, has a vacancy for delegacy, which I have submitted my name, and I will be a part of that process Tuesday. But this will be my 3rd time actually running for office. So between 2013 when I retired to now, I have learned this process. I have learned it at a deeper level and really believe I understand some of the deeper issues. So I'm happy to contribute what I can to this conversation.
Well, gentlemen, I just want to add really quickly. Love the conversation. Woodsy, you said 2 things earlier that I think are very important. Being in a service position, you talked about being tired. You also said sacrifice. Everybody gets tired. And that's just part of how life works as humans. Unfortunately, when you're in that service position, we don't respect you getting tired. That's sad. It's sad, but we can't realize, how can Woodsy be tired? How can Dr. Rogan be tired? And they're in a position to help us. Unfair to you. But you said it. You get tired. And that's part of what happens. And the sacrifice. That's huge. Sports, anything. But anybody to be ultimately successful, somebody has to sacrifice. But in our world, nobody wants to sacrifice.
You know, we talked about public.
Let me just finish and I'm done. In our system, it's put to where when you sacrifice, you lose. If you decide to sacrifice, you take a hit. So again, we look at sacrifice as a taboo almost within the system. And one last thing concerning the system, and I said it earlier, when you're so deep in the system at certain levels, and I think there's levels that aren't taught to all of us, and we talked about education, even when you're in it and you start to learn, and then you realize maybe may not have made a really good decision being involved. And I know that old saying, you have to have a little dirt on to be successful. Unfortunately. Again, that's just a topic that I like to toss out there, and maybe we can talk that around.
My question is that we've had educators. It seems like we had people in right places and spaces, but we didn't have it collectively. That's what I keep hearing, is that we just didn't work collectively together. We kept trying to, we talked about this once before, our assimilation and our association with the other community. And yet now that we realize we've come to this door again, 58 years later, again, we need to stop trying to go through this damn door and just really, we built this country, so let's build our own in this country. Is that feasible? But it's, when it comes to that ceiling, it just might not be.
My question to that, and I'll just put this out there, is, are you willing, you look at where you're at right now, that company for the cause?
You broke up a little bit, Woody.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you willing? You're comfortable right now in your lifestyles. I don't know where that's at, but where you're at right now, are you willing to give that up for the cause?
Individually, me, yes, I would. But I don't got anything.
You know what's so funny? I feel like that's where I think that's where everybody's pushing me to right now. Where it's like, yo, how far are you willing to go? Like, there's this endpoint that right now, and you see in our society, everybody's acting like it's the end of the world. Like we're nearing the end of the world and it's life or death. Like either like the vaccinated versus the unvaccinated. You know, critical race theory is a big issue that's been invented. Like, so now it's in our school systems. Like, what history are you teaching? Right? Are you going to teach like the real American history with the racism, or are you going to whitewash it? Right? So everything is at that endpoint right now, right? And my question is, does it have to be? Is everything like the endpoint where I'm willing to sacrifice my life for what? Right? What's the endpoint?
Well, why wouldn't you? I mean, what kind of life you have without it? I mean, what kind of life do you think you end up living? Let's look at this. If the way it's going now, when Mitch McConnell gets back on power in 2022, what kind of life you think you're gonna live there? We're literally right back to yes, sir.
It depends on where you are in this country. Listen, January 6th was a result of people really thinking like election was stolen and it was the end of the world. Like, yo, Biden takes over, the world the way I know it right now is ended. Right? We're still functioning. Right? So to me, it's like, you know what it is? Anything to the extreme is an error. I don't want to go that extreme. I kind of want some balance. So where's that balance at? How can we get back to that balance point?
Yeah, I agree with the balance. Everything is about balance. Anything in the extreme is unhealthy. It's like our mental health, our physical health. We get sick when we get out of balance. That's where disease comes from. The body is no longer at ease. So I agree with you, brother, on that.
But I don't know if we know where the balance is. I think because we in this country, we've never had a balance. We've never had the balance. We've balanced stuff, but it has never been a balance. You know what I mean? So we don't know where to put that pivotal, the triangle on the board. We don't know where to put it in our lineage of history. We've learned how to balance situations, but that doesn't mean we're balanced.
Listen, the other thing, going back to Woody's point about like politics, right? This country is about assimilation.
Yeah.
They want you to assimilate to whatever those cultures, those norms are. And if you're too much of an individual, they're gonna get rid of you. Whether they're gonna like run somebody against you and put the money behind that person so you're no longer in office, right? Whether it's like BLM, right? If you talk, you know, like you try to change the way the status quo goes, they're trying to take you out. And they're gonna throw a lot of stuff at you, disinformation, to confuse the public. So whatever you say, somebody's gonna say something opposite and it's gonna confuse you. So at some point you're gonna give up and be like, yo, I don't know what to believe. And a lot of people are in that position right now. They have no idea what to believe. And I keep going back to this. If you think about what's happening right now with the vaccines, people don't have no idea what to believe. Should I take it? Should I not take it? If I take it, people are gonna track me. All this misinformation is out there and is meant to confuse and basically cripple us.
Well, the misinformation is part of the plan. I mean, they've had different segments of misinformation going back from the time of 1865 when we got so-called out of slavery. You know, it's always been dis and misinformation. Desegregation was dis and misinformation, and it just keeps trickling down. And now they're using the vaccine as disinformation. If you look at the Tuskegee experiment, it was totally different than this vaccination. You know, it was one group of people, it was a particular group. However, they're using that mindset to cripple us. Mm-hmm. However, I do believe that there is a segment of people who are becoming consciously aware. Now, whether or not it is going to be enough to force some more change to come is a different story, because we have become more divided than together, and I think that that's our problem.
I think that's by design as well.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, so we majority of us here on this panel, we have what? We have 8 people. We know it's by design. We know there's 800,000 of us who know it's by design. We could probably even get 1 million plus who know it's by design, but yet we're still stuck at this door.
Yeah, but we're stuck at the door. See, we're stuck at the door because we have everybody wanting to be a chief, and when you have, you can only get with so many heads in one hat, and everybody wants to wear the hat. We have too many chiefs right now.
Yeah, but also like the way we consume information, right? Like I got a good friend of mine, right, who all he watches is Fox News. So this dude will call me up with all these like bizarre conspiracy theories, and I'm like, "Where'd you get that from? Fox News?" He was like, "Yeah, but," and it's like, you gotta research your information. So we've set this up, and I'm gonna go back to like the Trump era, where now you can't even say somebody's lying. Now it's like alternative facts, right? You can't say, "Oh, I got it from like the Washington Post or the New York Times." Institutions that's been around for years, and they have to vet the information because they'll say, "Oh, that's fake news." So it's designed to confuse people, right? And that confusion is going to allow people to take advantage of, I don't like the unsophisticated, the people who are not researching, the people not reading 2 or 3 newspapers a day.
Yeah.
You're going to get taken advantage of. And you see that happen right now. And it goes back to when they start feeling that way, anxiety starts kicking in, and they feel like, yo, it's the end of the world.
Right.
What I'm going to sacrifice myself for ... whatever it is.
Smoothie, you were going to say something.
No, I just said it really again. With Dr. Ritchie made some great points. Malik also. Again, as Woodie said, you get tired, and are you willing to sacrifice? You just said everybody can't be a chief. Are you willing to sacrifice for the greater cause? Many people are not willing to sacrifice. I know you said, Doc, you're willing to do it. I will be one. But again, we can say it, but are you willing to do it? That means
what does that mean, though?
Things that you really enjoy, it really means something to you. And there's a strong possibility you might not see the results you're looking for.
So I think that's the pushback. When you say, yo, what are you willing to sacrifice? One, what are you sacrificing? And what are you sacrificing it for?
I see what you're saying. Like there has to be, like for instance, like will you sacrifice my wife? But here's the thing: it's like there's small barometers, and the smallest barometer I would have to say is, do you go out and vote? Let's do that one. Like, nah, I still talk to some Negroes. Nah, I don't do that. What do you mean, nah, you don't do that? Yeah, I still hear the words, my vote doesn't count. Who told you that? Why would you think that? Even all these, YouTubers, if your vote didn't count, then why are they trying to suppress it? And that still doesn't register with them. You know what I mean?
But that's by design, though. Oh. That's another thing, like, because they know the vote is powerful. So if it didn't count, why they going through all these leaps and bounds to like suppress your vote if it didn't count? All right. But listen, once again, I'm gonna go back to this, right? The vaccine. We were in a health crisis.
Yes.
Right. So there were people who actually felt like COVID-19 was a hoax. It wasn't real. Where did that information come from? Right. So that's number one. Then vaccines came out. Then it became, that's the way the government's going to track you. They go, do you know what's in the vaccine? And these are people who saying this, who eat fast food, smoke hookah, drink. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I start thinking about that. It's like, yo, where's this information coming from? And why is it getting into like our community and other communities where you got this conspiracy theory? Like, who's that serve? Who's that serving us feeling that way and thinking that way? And I keep going back to that. And I'm like, listen, I have conversations with some of my friends who are not vaccinated, and they fall into like 3 categories. Either they love Fox News, they watch Fox News, right? So they get influenced there. Super religious, and they feel like somehow God got them. The blood of Jesus is going to protect them. right? And I don't get that either. And then the third, the anxiety, right? It's so heightened. They feel like, yo, if I take this shot, something is going to, I'm going to grow a tail, something's going to happen to me, right? And I'm like, yo, where you getting this from, right? But these are the conversations I have with some of my friends, and these are like intelligent people.
So when you have those conversations, when it comes to revolution, have you already picked out who you got to kill?
You know, so funny, listen, depending on what part of the country you live in, right? You either got a gun, you going on, like, you know, you out there like target practicing. I live in New York City, right? I don't have a gun. I don't think about that. Yo, if the revolution happens, I'm gonna throw my hand up. Like, I'm on your side,
right? Because you're not making it out of Brooklyn. Because you're not gonna make it out of Brooklyn. They shut down that bridge there. You're done. There's no way off.
Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna live in my little bubble. Wherever I can contribute, let me contribute there. They ain't gonna be on the front line shooting. Like, it ain't gonna be there.
I'm a martial artist by trade. I've been training for probably about 53 years, and there's, depending on what culture, whether it's Japanese, Chinese, Korean, I've studied a bunch of more different arts from different cultures, and the Chinese have a sword. Or their bow staff, and it has some little feathers and a little red thing around it. And that is the same form that the Japanese do, the form itself. However, this red little feather that's around it is used as a distraction. It's used to take your eye off. It is like a magician's trick. You get your hand paying attention to, you get your eyes paying attention to the hand in front of you, while the other hand reaches in your pocket and pulls out your wallet. And it is that distraction that has taken people of color the whole time. He'll give one person a job, but he knows who to give it to now. He ain't gonna give it to you because, see, you're outspoken, because you can't be bought off, because you are willing to sacrifice. And he gives the one who's greedy. He gives the one who doesn't have any ethics or morality or value system, and he gives them that. And we don't create our own super PACs anymore. I think the closest we came was when SNCC and those groups were backing, helping to back, Dr. King. Other than that, and of course, the nation was backing, Malcolm in the beginning, and Muhammad, of course, Muhammad Ali, for their own particular reasons, but they were still backing. And at least we had them. Who do we have now? Who is backing now? Now, because of the burst of this free market, the internet and all of these social medias, we just have people just putting out rhetoric, and everybody's just running their mouth, and it is a distraction. It's back to the spear with the feather on, and everybody's looking at the feather. And you're missing the boat, and then you're getting hit upside the head with the stick. And the stick is like the past administration just coming out with these new laws and things like that take away your voting rights. I had a discussion with a brother about voting, and he said to me, I said, well, who do you follow? Who from the past do you follow? He said, well, I believe in the Black Panther. I said, you can't believe in the Black Panther, because part of their platform was registering African American and people of color to vote. How can you say you're following them and then you don't vote? Everybody's distracted right now. It's the magician's trick. the red fuzzy on the spear right now. They're all distracted.
Is the process is that old game? I'm sure everybody's familiar with Recall Monty.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, is the confusion, is the misinformation, like you talk about, Malik, is the misinformation that people digest. It becomes in the pores of it, you know, from everything that we do.
So here's the question then how come we don't have a central informational where we get our news? Because I know there's Black News Network that are out there. If you can find them wherever, there's this type of network that has Black news. But do you guys ever watch some of those networks or those news channels, the Black Networks Newsroom? What do you think about them?
So, Dr. Paul, let me just say this to your point. I'm a regular commentary on Black News Network, but I have no idea I don't know where it is, where to follow it. I don't think anybody knows where that is. I mean, but I found myself, especially since I started running for office, there's all kinds of things out here that people are just talking to themselves. And so I always find myself asking them, who is the audience? I mean, who is this going to? And I get called for a lot of stuff. I just do it, help out. But to your point, Black News, I mean, what station is that? Where is it? Is it national? Is it here? I don't know.
So I think we got to be careful with that as well, right? So I'm gonna back up for a second. Like Russell Simmons, right? Russell Simmons had the Rush card, right? He was promoting the Rush card, telling all Black people this is the way they gain capital. And if you kind of know the history of that, it really was like the green dot card.
It was the green dot card.
Yeah, exactly. It had like the Rush card face on it. You were paying higher fees for the same thing you was getting with another thing. So it's like you have like people going back to integrity that take advantage of our community. And that's happened so much. When you say, hey, follow the Black News Network, some people are like, okay, where do I find it? Well, who owns it? Like, do we just have a Black face on it and it's really owned by like some white corporation? So we gotta be careful.
Like Popeye's chicken. Like people think that Black lady owns Popeye's chicken. She don't. Come on, Negroes. Stop it. Why would you think this lady owns Popeye's chicken? Because she's on every commercial.
And I say this all the time, but listen, we live in a capitalist society, and it's all about the dollar. It's all about, like, we want to keep people as passive as possible so they keep spending, right? If they're suffering from depression, hey, the best way to get over that is to spend, spend, spend. So naturally, we're going to stay distracted because corporations want you to spend. And the best time for you to spend is like during tragedy. Listen, believe it or not, during this pandemic, like you look at companies like all the tech companies, Apple, Amazon, they had the highest profit center in years, right?
Yeah, we're the biggest consumers. Us as Black people, we're the biggest consumers of that. Why is that? It's has to be looked at.
Yeah. But listen, also, if you know our history, go back to like powerful. But what happened? Like they tried to deport Marcus Garvey, they tried to take him out, right? And then following that footsteps, you had like the Nation, and other organizations like that. Look what happened there. The rift between like, Elijah Muhammad and Malcolm, and that basically like ended the Nation, or that, the influence that they had. There's always organizations that come along, right? That some people may, think they're extreme, but what happens to them, right? How come they never had that long-term impact?
Well, there was a lot of ministers. I just had a woman on one of my shows that she was friends with Martin Luther King, and she said it. She says there was tons of ministers that just hated Martin Luther King. They couldn't stand him. They wish he would just go away. They didn't want none of this noise. And even the church he started with, he had to separate from because they didn't want to back him. I mean, so there, I don't know. That's almost like, I think we still have that slave mentality trauma. That's the house Negro. That's the field Negro. I think we get that pecking with each other. And I don't know how to stop it. Because it goes back to what Woodsy says. I don't know how we're going to get people educated enough if people just can't seem to I don't know. I don't know.
You know,
Look,
I think
you can trust your master to educate you properly. You know, so who's running our schools? Like, once again, you can't expect your master to educate you properly. He's not going to educate you the same level that he's educating his children.
No.
Right? So who's educating us? And where are they getting that education? Because they're not getting it in the house because their parents don't know. And when they go to school, they're not getting that in the school. There's fights about that right now. Like, what history are we teaching our kids? Right? So who's educating our children?
The internet.
YouTube.
YouTube.
well, you know, there's a couple of demographics, and I don't want to digress too far back, but because we've come from different regions of Africa, and they brought us here and they mixed us all up, we didn't speak the language. We didn't speak the same language. They made sure to separate us. We already came here on a divide. That was the first thing. Then, after we've gotten here, and all of these years, people being sold off and shifting, we don't know how to stick together. It's hard for us to stick together as a whole, as a group. Now, somebody mentioned it earlier about the Black Super PACs. We have to find a group and some people who are going to be willing to accept a lower position than maybe they're normally or used to, and have to get some of these Black athletes to become, to stick together with us, you know, who have that kind of money, and we have to start our own super PAC. And you have to do it in spite of whether or not I necessarily like you as much. You know, that was the only thing that helped to make Martin successful. And that was the thing that helped bring down the nation, as you said earlier. When it said bring it down, well, just take away some of its strength, because there was a time when they were really powerful in the country.
Charlemagne, how's it going down there in Carolinas? How you been? I'm gonna hear your voice, brother.
Hey man, same old man. You know, it's cool down here right now. Just COVID is the hot topic everywhere, you know, in the schools and everything. And it's just like school numbers are going crazy. So, you know, COVID is just a topic down here, man.
But you know, the schools, we get more affected. The Black and brown community gets more affected than any other community when it comes to education and the kids in the schools.
Right.
So if they close the schools, it only hurts us. I mean, it hurts a lot of people, but majority it hurts us, right? Because then there's work we can't go to because of depending on the age group of the child you have going to school. They close the school, then I can't go to work. And the job I have, I am unable to telecommunicate from. I am unable to clean your rooms telecommunicatable, right? I just can't log into your room and dust from here, right? You know, and so that hurts the industry that they're working for. I'm unable to serve food from my home because I have a 6-year-old, a 7-year-old. So it hurts us in a lot of ways.
Brothers, I just wanted to piggyback on Dr. Pritchett and the voting I think we all were talking about. I would love to invite you guys with our group at this point. It's a group, not an organization, but Black Men Vote United. Because the whole idea of Black Men Vote United is to eventually come up with what we're talking about right now. But as you all have mentioned, as Pritchett has mentioned, we have to be selective and who will be a part of this, at least a part of the executive boards. And it sounds like we got some guys here that I just want to extend that invite to y'all. We meet on Fridays via Zoom at 5 o'clock. So you all are welcome. And I'll send Dr. Paul a link. We're still in the developmental stages of it. So we haven't formed our boards or anything like that. But the ultimate goal is to become that political PAC that I know we can be.
Because we definitely have to get Black men to vote. I mean, the Black men's numbers it's in shame rate. I mean, it's so low. It's disgusting, and that's nationally. It's national.
It is. It really is, and I think that's why I always try to tie it into. That's what's hurting us. We're not using our leverage. We have power, but if we're not using our power and we're so obsessed with sports, and it just seems like to me that it's designed to keep us over here in sports. that we're not involved in real business. You know, if we took all that energy and all, like someone said, our players, NFL, NBA, our golfers, everybody, just come on, get involved in electoral, let's vote. Let's come together as a pack. Then we can leverage that to do the things that we're talking about, re-education, getting people in key policy making roles and positions, and we can move forward.
Yeah, share it on the chat, like our Black Coffee thing. I'd definitely love to join you.
Before we take off, I want everybody to let everybody know where they can be found, and because if anyone wants to hear them, Malik's got product. I know Dave, you're running for office. I know Charlemagne, you have a radio station. You have the president of 100 Black Men of Maryland here. So Dave, before we take off, let everybody know what you're doing and where they can get a hold of you.
Sure, guys, let me give you, and I was gonna put in the chat, my email address and my cell. My cell is 301-651-9178. And then my email address is davidjgrogan, GROGAN @gmail. What I will do is send you all, if you shoot me your email addresses, I'll send you an invite to, I believe, our next meeting. I believe, and if not,
hey, Dave, you froze. Your next meeting's Friday or when?
Yeah, Friday, yes. The next meeting is Friday at 5. So I'll send you all the link to that. Meanwhile, in between now and then, I would also invite you all to be on a Zoom call Tuesday, as I will present my interest in the House of Delegates position here in District 2023B.
That's right.
Now, where are you? What state are you in?
He's in Maryland.
Maryland. I'm in Maryland, in Prince George's County, Maryland.
Yeah, good brother. He's also, we're trying to also waiting on his appointment from the Marshal office. Are we still waiting on that, Dave?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So that's the priority. I am actually currently being vetted by the Biden-Harris administration for a law enforcement public safety position, the U.S. Marshal for the District of Maryland. Many people don't know the real rich history of the U.S. Marshal Service, which I'll tell that story in time. But Frederick Douglass was the first Black U.S. Marshal. He was appointed by President Rutherford B. Hayes, and every law enforcement agency started from the U.S. Marshal. Rutherford B. Hayes did not trust Frederick Douglass with his protection, and that's where the Secret Service came from. And from that point, that's where every law enforcement agency originated, from the U.S. Marshal Service. And we've never had, we've only had one other Black Marshal in the state of Maryland since 1789. So I'm going through the vetting process for that. I've been recommended by the U.S. Senator, my good U.S. Senator, Chris Van Hollen. And again, guys, some people don't understand. We got to get at the table. If I get in a position like that, I will be working directly at the executive level with the FBI, the Department of Justice, and we really can do stuff. We just got to, wherever our expertises are, we got to make sure we have a seat at the table in whatever that area looks like. And public safety and law enforcement is my area.
Brother Malik, tell us what you're up to, where you're heading.
Native of, I need to say that, nativeof.com. Let me say that. I'm gonna start advertising on Chris's show. On Russ's show. Listen, one thing I just want to mention, we've been talking about like individuals, right? And that's great, but we also got to start thinking about systems, right? And changing systems, because that's the only way things are gonna happen. Like we're gonna real see like positive change and long-lasting changes, the systems in place.
All right, Brother Pritchard.
Yes. Hey, brothers, man, I have my hand in several pots, and I've changed stream a few times, Education, I've helped to set up a bunch of charter schools to try and liberate us from that non-education that some of us have been getting in the public schools. And also in law enforcement. Right now, I've come up with a system for professional development for law enforcement that we are starting to reveal now and do presentations on. At some point, you brothers, I'm going to set up a Zoom, and you guys might want to recommend this to your cities and counties around the country. is probably one of the most comprehensive law enforcement professional developments to help with this uncanny amount of the police shootings and things like that that we've been experiencing. So, stay tuned. You should be hearing something about that.
Transition Tuesday, Russ. And again, congratulations on your girl. I'm so happy you're happy, brother, because when you posted it, I was just, I was like, literally like, yeah,
Yeah, man. I appreciate that, Doc. Yeah, you guys can follow me on Instagram at Russ Will Transitions. Also, if you're not a friend of my friend me on Facebook at Russ Williams. That way you can see my show Transition Tuesdays, in which we have honest conversation like we're having now about your life's transition. So you guys can follow me there. And and we need to take time with this 9/11, what went on, 20 years ago, which boggles my mind because, I just checked in my daughter who in LaSalle University, and she was 10 days later, she was born after 9/11. So, we just need to keep this in our thoughts and prayers about 9/11. We always remember where we were, myself and my boy Chris here, we knew exactly where we were, we were in New York and Malik as well too. So it's just, just keep that in your thoughts and prayers today as well.
And Smooth, how you doing, brother? Tell us what's going on.
Well, again, gentlemen, it's always a pleasure to be on here with everyone. Conversation is great. And I love the way this started off. Honestly, I think the ceiling does close, but we have to continue to battle. These conversations that we have here amongst ourselves are so important because oftentimes trust and division are created from our system. And when we can't have these conversations, when we can have open dialogue, and you can learn and be empathetic. And that's what I promise to do. And I learned so much when I come in here, so I do appreciate it. Just want to throw out one thing concerning vaccination. I know, Malik, you put that out there. I'm not vaccinated. I'm telling you, I do fall into the categories that you named me. The reason I have not, I do plan to do it because I want to sacrifice what I feel for others. I think that's, but my question to who's been vaccinated, and I haven't had this answer, there isn't a group out here whose immune system is solid enough where you don't have to be vaccinated. I think as a doctor or anyone who understands this much better than me, there has to be a group of people, there has to be someone who you say, you know what, him or her, their immune system is fine. They don't need it. I don't understand why everybody needs it, but I'm gonna do it. So everybody can get together and we can rock together. But again, if you want, speak.com.
Yo, how do you know who has that system or not?
Wait a minute. Hold on. There's probably people out there, but I'm sure there's people out there who their immune system is so strong enough that they wouldn't need it. And I'm sure they've already been identified by powers that be. That's all I can say. I am positive about that. So you're right about it.
Every time you get tested, you test negative. So would you be in that line, or you're not that group?
No, because
no, you don't have to be. You don't have to be in that line. First of all, it depends on your level of exposure. We all have a certain amount of T cells and antibodies within our system. Some stronger than others. However, depending on your level of exposure to this virus or other viruses, depends on how sick you get.
Right. But everybody can get it. So there's no one who can say, you know what, they don't need this. They don't need a vaccine.
Yeah.
At some point, yes. I mean, everybody can. When you say can get it, you're talking about the coronavirus.
If everybody can get the coronavirus, yes. Correct?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. My system is strong enough to fight it every single time.
No.
Okay, there we go. That's what I've been looking for.
No. So Chris, okay, I know you mentioned you're gonna get it. So with this conversation, this discussion, when do you think you're gonna get it? Is it gonna be today, or is it gonna be,
I do plan on getting it. If I don't get it today, I'll get it probably before the week is over. But again, as I stated to you all, Russ and Malik, both of you as my friends, I just felt I didn't think it belonged in my body. That's just a personal deal. And it wasn't against anyone else. I don't think it's bad. I think if you need it, you have to take it. But I just wasn't really clear on why everybody had to get it. That's where I was leery.
Well, I'm an anti-vaxxer. As you guys know, being in the military, we get a lot of shots. I was done getting shots. I'm done getting shots. I'm telling you, done getting shots. But when this came out, I didn't get the shot for me. I didn't feel like if even I got COVID, I would die. I didn't feel that way because my health is pretty good. But I got the shot because of others and because of who my wife works with and who, so it was more because of people I got the shot. I definitely didn't get the shot because I was concerned about my personal health. No, but I did get the shot for others.
That would be the same for me, Dr. Paul. And also, just FYI, not to spook you, Chris, but I got my shot at NIH, and man, they hit something wrong and damaged my shoulder, so I had to end up getting a follow-up steroid, some type of steroid injection. But Dr. Paul, I like how you articulate that, because that's where I stood with this. I don't, my health is 100% as far as I'm concerned. But it was more about also knowing that I don't need to wait till they clamp down, because at some point it's going to be against the law not to have the shot.
Oh yeah, it's here. It's here.
Yeah, it's coming. So I figure if I'm going to get it, I'd get it at NIH versus going to drive through McDonald's to get it, because that's what they will be doing at some point.
And also, let me just say this. If you don't want to take the shot, that's fine. But you should stay in your house and not expose yourself or other people to possibly getting it. So there's people who don't want to get it, great. But you can't be traveling, getting on planes or all over, because then you're putting yourself and other people at risk. Because you could get it and be asymptomatic and be spreading it to other people, and you have no idea.
But my answer to that question every time, Malik, when that was brought up to me was, if you test me, I'm going to test negative. I've tested negative every single time I've been tested. That's my answer.
You get tested once a week.
If you ever test me, if you want to test me, I'll test myself anytime you want to test me. When I broadcast games all last season, I tested before I test negative. But like I said, I want to do it for others, and I want people to, like you feel, you feel like negative. But unfortunately, like in my head, again, you're vaccinated. But when you test positive, it's no deal, no problem. Okay, y'all cool.
Right.
But
there's a problem. Yeah.
Hey, Chris.
That's not cool.
Chris, let me say this. Now I'm with Dr. Paul as well. I was in the military. Now I just happened to be my job. I was a nuclear biological chemical specialist. So I dealt with with biological and chemical warfare, detection, decontamination, and understanding how these things travel. Now Chris, I'm an anti-vaxxer as well. Up until last year, I hadn't taken a flu shot in over 30 years, and I wasn't running out the door to be the first one to get this COVID shot either. However, it attacks at a higher level of severity, which, hey, we're not 20 anymore, and the symptoms can be more detrimental to you the older you get. And of course, the transmission of being asymptomatic and transmission to others. Now you can be, Chris, you got to remember this. You can have not been exposed to a level that would cause you to be symptomatic and get away with it for the next 2 years. And then in one day around somebody who's highly contagious with the Delta variant, and now you're sick as a dog, and it's starting to attack your respiratory system, and you die. Mm-hmm. It's just that that's how these germs are. Sometimes some people can get away with it, and some people don't.
Charlemagne, what's going on before we take off?
I'm Charlemagne. Down in North Carolina. You can check me out on YouTube, Brick City Show. That's Bricks with an S. Follow me on Instagram, IG, Facebook, The Real Charlemagne or Brick City. You can find me either location. Like I use Dr. Dwyer as my mentor. You know, I just like putting out information. I try to get authors on my show, you know, community activists, all that good stuff. Mental health has been a big topic on my show as well. So, you know, like I said, you know, you guys want to link up, hit me up. I'm about to just go live and start streaming live, but right now, just hit me up on YouTube. You can catch all the shows there. And I appreciate being on this platform. It's been a while, Dr. Dwyer.
We took a sabbatical, and now we're back. And Woodsy, if you got an election coming up, let us know so we can start out with your first super PAC right here.
Appreciate it. Yeah, one thing at a time, you know. So right now, I got my blog that I'm working on, UFDABlack.com, UFFDA.
I love that. That's awesome.
UFDA.com. Yeah.
Because I still say it a lot, by the way.
Right. It's just a saying in the Midwest that it just takes off. But you know, I'm on social media. I'm on all forms of social media, so you can hit me up there as well. But yeah, right now I am just breaking down stereotypes and trying to raise my kids and trying to, you know, I'm super busy with my kids right now because school started and they're all in sports and everything. So I'm just running left and right every day and just trying to make it in North Dakota, make it in this homogenous society.
And the Honorable Wesley Webb, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. Afternoon, brothers. I know it's been a minute since I've been on the show and everything, but it's always great to see you guys. And you know, just like Woodsy was talking about earlier in the show about the education factor, it's really paramount as far as within our communities and, you know, what we've been talking about. And that being said, we're going to be focusing on these midterm elections and helping folks to understand the importance of voting, you know, at their local level, because we've kind of ceded the local elections sometimes to these Republicans, and as a result of it, we're seeing the impacts of it. We're always talking about who's in office on the federal level, but on the state level, we're not giving it that same attention. So this is where my focus is going to be, is trying to help to move that needle forward with some of the folks in our communities and stuff. And just like David was talking about, I'd love to be on that call, you know, with them just to kind of get some ideas, because I'm wearing this shirt today and saw a lot of people, on the back of it has about Black Men Vote, you know, so they were like talking about the, you know, seeing the 100, so it kind of generated some attention. So it gave me a little bit of a platform today just to kind of talk to them a little bit about the importance of voting at the local level, because, you know, I can say our Republican brothers, they're playing for keeps, and you know, and a lot of them are running scared because, you know, U.S. is getting a little bit browner, and they don't like that. You know, and some of that power is ceding, and they don't want it. And so we have to take a stand for it. And so that's where my focus is, and I'm glad to be a part of this conversation today.
Well, we started a new season of Black Coffee Conversation. We're going to have this once a month because we know we're all busy and we got to catch up with Woodsy before his children make playoffs and world championship teams. So thank you, brothers. It always lifts my heart to listen, to talk to you guys, because I still learn so much. And again, I love when we said this before, it really came from Woodsy's, that we're not monolithic. We live in different areas of the country with different people, and they try to marginalize us as Black men. They're saying they're just like this, and we're not. We are very different. We are very different for many avenues, for many reasons. But it doesn't matter our differences. We definitely come together when we know we can. And I think when we trust. I gotta
interrupt that really quick. I stole that from Malik. I straight up stole it from Malik. And I use it all the time. I'm an English teacher. I'm gonna give source.
Yeah, so that's great. So Malik is the source. That's right. Yeah.
Hey, Wes, I'm gonna meet you at Nancy's next summer, okay?
That'll be great, brother.
Cool. Like those who know. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Hey, look, Backdoor Donut. I'll meet you there too, okay?
Yep, we'll stand there together.
Exactly.
Love you, brothers. Give a guy. Be
Okay.
safe. Be careful. Be kind.
All right, guys.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, brother. Love you guys, man.